Okay, looks like I'm live and on the air. Thought I'd better pop in and let you know nothing bad has happened. I'm just busy with the kitchen remodel, cleaning and painting, and I might hang wallpaper. I'm thinking about it. Uh, I don't know. It's just amazing, this community. I have a working washing machine now, so I don't have to go to the laundromat. Um, but somehow, I don't know, I'm real slow at it. Also, I've had to bag up tons of yard waste, rake it, pull weeds, bag it up, and that isn't finished either. The lilacs have finished blooming, the daffodils have finished blooming, but the roses are still going, and the blackberry vines have flowers that will soon be blackberries. Anyway, I'm tired and achy, but basically happy. Today's my 66th birthday. My family will come down and come up here, I should say, and spend the day with me, which means I don't get to do the work on the kitchen, which is what I wanted to do. But hey, they're my family. Um, and we'll, go out for lunch and we'll putter around the town. Um, wow, it's weird with the COVID thing and the masks and all. Before you go into a restaurant, they take your temperature and you have to wear your mask until you're seated. You can't eat with a mask on, so of course you can take it off at the table. But it's going to be weird, very weird. And I do enjoy seeing my family. It's basically today it's my brother and his wife, Steve and Betty. Um, wow. I always like to see them, but I was hoping to get down there and visit them, and it's too time consuming. See, we have a real winter up here, so I need to get things done while we have sunshine and no snow. Anyway, it's going to be a lovely day. We're going to have fun, and I'm as well as can be expected. I'm getting old, darn it. But gee, I've got a washing machine, and in a couple days I'll have a stove, so I have to get on the painting in the kitchen. At least for the area behind the stove, which I want to do before there's a stove in the way. Well, hello, IB. Let's see. HELLOIB Collectibles. I'm just not going to stay on too long today. The work on my book in progress is going slowly, but it's going. I had a couple interviews scheduled, one in May and one in June, and they both got canceled. Um, I'm hoping they get rescheduled for a little later in the year, but stuff happens. Um, I was also supposed to be on Midnight in the Desert, but um, that's been canceled twice, and uh, I don't know if it'll ever get rescheduled. It's weird. Midnight in the Desert used to be Art Bell's when he was alive, and then there's John B. Wells was going to have me on, and that was canceled without explanation. Midnight. Oh, I, the first time it was canceled um, was because Stan Deo needed to come on because we had just had an earthquake a little over a year ago, major earthquake. But the second time it was canceled, there was no explanation. They didn't even tell me I was canceled. I just had to figure it out. So I'm never going on John B. Wells. I like his show, but he's getting kind of way out there, so I'm not even listening anymore. It's too not really political as so much as what's the word? And pushing panic about the end of civilization as we know it. Our civilization is in danger, but it isn't panic time. It's time to roll up your sleeves, get to work, and build things and quit tearing them down. Well, I had two listeners for a minute there. Now I'm down to just the one, but most of people listen on the replay because I don't have a set schedule. I'm working on that. I'm thinking actually Tuesdays for, oh, hi, HB. Now I have two listeners. Okay. I'm trying to figure out when I can have a regular set time so you know I'm going to be on the air and it isn't a surprise. But I think Tuesdays will work. I'll have to figure out a time of day. Sometimes when I finally have the time to come on YouTube, there's a conflict with another show like Robert Phoenix or oh come on, Jimmy Church or something on the radio. I don't watch television. I can't see paying for cable, and even if they still have broadcast television, we don't get it up here. The transmitter just doesn't reach this mountain. Some people have like 90-foot antennas up on top of a pine tree, but I'm not going there. It isn't worth it to me. Um, I've got YouTube and Amazon, and my sister put me on her um, Net, Netflix family plan, so I have stuff to watch. And I like the radio. I can do other things and still listen. I'm not glued to a screen with the radio. Wow. I'm amazed that three of you have managed to find me and pop in. Um, oh, that bright, well, I guess to you it's on this side. No, it's on that side. That bright light is where I have the door open because I have cats. I'm going to have to do something about that to, make the picture look a little better. But not today. I'm tired. I have walls to paint and floor tiles to glue down in my kitchen. Fortunately, I don't have to do the whole thing this weekend, just the corner where the stove is going to go. So I have a free washing machine, a free stove. I spent a bloody fortune on a countertop and a cabinet and sink. Oh, hi, Oswald. Welcome in. I'm not staying too long. It's my birthday. I'm, well, around 7:30 tonight, Pacific time, I'll be 66 years old. Now, when you're a kid, the minute the sun rises on your birthday, that's it. It's my birthday. When you get older, you want to drag it out a little. I won't be 66 till tonight. Anyway, yeah, time goes too fast. Ah, way too fast. So, and every time we think we've got it nailed and so forth, I have to buy something else for that darn kitchen. Oh, Tora behaves the way cats behave. And then there's Sweetie, who won't willingly stay in the house. Sometimes she'll come in and check out the food dish, but she won't stay. Sweetie is a black tuxedo kitty with a white bib and white feet, long fur. She's gorgeous. Well, the main thing about the kitchen is that the rot and mold are gone. It was getting to be a real health problem, not just a house problem. I really do feel better with all that gunk gone. Oh, hi, Crichton. Welcome in. Yeah, I I always share the video on Facebook, but that's my limit. I used to share it on Twitter, but now I just pop it up on Facebook. Um, as far as the work on the kitchen goes, some local friends are doing most of the work. They're doing the heavy lifting. I wish I could just drag the computer over there and show you, but I do have photos up on Facebook. I should go on my blog and post about it. I've been neglecting my blog. It's, let's see, pkdmemoir.blogspot.com. All the posts up there are pretty old right now, but I'll get back to it. Oh, 5 listeners. Wow. Didn't expect that. Anyway, I'm trying to work out a time on Tuesdays when I can. Oh, sorry, IB. You must have gotten the email notice. Not on Facebook. Well, I didn't want to go on Facebook, but too many of my friends and family communicate only on Facebook. And now I've got um, everybody and his brother. I got my floor repair on YouTube. I thought that I thought that upload failed. Oh, hi, Philip. Uh, oh, and Philip, quite often I'm listening to other shows where you're in chat, but I'm just too busy to sit down and chat. Well, I'm kind of, I've actually met some really good friends on Facebook, and that's how come I was able to attend both Philip K. Dick festivals in Fort Morgan, Colorado. They contacted me on Facebook. I've even sold a couple signed copies of my books to people on Facebook, so I guess I'll keep doing it. Besides, they have some nice mindless games to while away the time when I'm too tired to do anything else. But I'm really ticked off that they no longer have Scrabble. They have some weird thing called Scrabble Go, and I'm not going there. Yeah. Anyway, Facebook is not for everyone, but I am stuck with it, and it's okay. But when I showed the kitchen, because YouTube won't let me go live on a portable device, I had to record it, and I thought it never uploaded. Eh. Yeah, Facebook has a trivia game called, I forget what it's called. I play it too. Um, you play against an opponent. You get 3 trivia questions at a time. You choose the topic, but your choice of topics is limited. So sometimes I'm stuck with some stupid topic like celebrities. But I can almost remember what it's called. They also have Words with Friends, which I'm not thrilled with it. It's much easier than Scrabble, but there's a lot more luck involved in Words with Friends. Um, can't can't quite remember what the trivia game is called. Sorry. I don't dare try to open Facebook. I might lose my connection here. There's a brief window of time when I have what Verizon calls high-speed internet. And in between, when that's used up, I'm actually on the internet with the data collection connection. I'm using the wrong word there. Orange juice, yeah. Oh well, that Oswald. The orange juice is a game called Criminal Case. It's mostly find the hidden object. Most of the objects you look for in the picture are you have to really look for, and you're on a timer. I like the searching for objects, but you also have to figure out who the murderer is while you're doing all that. You get clues. It's more complicated than that, but if you don't mind an occasional gory image of a murder victim, it's a fun game. And it isn't live action, it's just a still picture. Hmm. And I'm down to one friend on Criminal Case. We send each other. There's other friends, but they aren't actually playing. You one active friend on Criminal Case, so we send each other uh, little goodies. Starlink, yeah, Starlink might provide better internet, but it is the best cell phone service up here, and it isn't really possible to get a real landline phone anymore. You pretty much have to go with a cable company or a satellite dish. And I can't afford both, so I keep the cell phone. You play mini golf. Yeah, well, when I'm ticked off that Windows 10 doesn't have solitaire. It doesn't have games. But my old tablet still has Spider Solitaire, so I'm keeping it. A Premiere Infinite Potential. Oh, at noon. But Infinite Potentials channel, is that a YouTube channel? The Life and Ideas of David Bohm. If he's who I think he is, he's an atheist scientist guy. Uh, I don't know. Yeah. The older I get, the more I realize that if we evolved in the sense that we adapt to our environment, but humans are terribly poorly adapted to this environment. We are not the only species that uses tools. At the very least, chimpanzees take sticks and poke them into termite nests. We're not the only species that makes tools. The chimps actually select sticks, strip off the leaves, and make them the right size and pointy and all. But you know what? Um, we are the only species that cannot survive without tools. Yeah, crows use sticks too. Yeah, lots of critters use tools. Some of them make tools, but we can't survive without them. We're defenseless. Like in the Greek myth of Prometheus, supposedly he formed all the animals and he gave the tiger's claws and he gave the gazelle swift speed. Each animal got a gift to help it survive. But when he made people, he had no gifts left for them. Human beings were defenseless. So he asked the gods for fire from Mount Olympus for the people he had formed from clay. And the gods said no. So Prometheus stole the fire and gave it to humans. So they'd have some kind of defense. Well, Prometheus was punished for that. Oh, yeah, Walter Bosley. Einstein was a very grateful Jewish scientist who escaped from Nazi Germany. So if he was CIA, that's okay with me. But it seems to me that There was no CIA until after Einstein was very, very old. Now, he might have worked for OSI, the military intelligence that eventually morphed into CIA. But the CIA was established after World War II. And Einstein made his greatest, formed his greatest theories in the early 1900s, between 1900 and 1920. The war ended in, 45? And anyway, he was an old man by then. Now, Walter Bosley, I don't care if he's CIA or whatever. I like him. 1947. Oh, wow. Roswell, CIA, and all kinds of other stuff like, oh, I'm blanking on words. All that stuff up in Washington State. The guy who had UFO parts fall on his boat. The guy who saw flying saucers skimming. Well, he saw the airships skimming like saucers on a lake. I understand Einstein's work. I just think he made some mistakes. He improved on Newton's work, but more recent investigations have improved on Einstein's work. You know, some of the greatest scientists of the Renaissance didn't know about germs. Doctors wouldn't wash their hands. They thought only sissies washed their hands. You know, we're advancing, at least intellectually. Yeah, Mercer Island, Kenneth Arnold, thank you, Philip. And apparently, some people connected to the JFK assassination were involved in the Mercer Island incident where the UFO parts fell on the guy's boat. Um, you can get more info about that from Joseph Farrell. I hope Walter's okay. He wasn't able to do his live streams this week, but this past week, he said he did plan to be on tomorrow on YouTube live around 5:30 or so. Pasteur, Louis Pasteur was a fraud? I'll tell you what, though, Alexander Fleming, who discovered penicillin, was simply what's the word? He was a slob. He went on vacation and left his dirty lab dishes in the sink. And when he came back, they'd gotten moldy and the mold had killed the bacteria. So he wasn't like this great scientist investigating. He was a slob who had a happy accident. Um, Oswald, uh, modern right wingers. Well, when I was 9 years old and Goldwater, 9 and 10, Goldwater was running for president. Yeah, I was a right winger, but I was a kid. I grew up. But I met, as a child, members of the John Birch Society, weathermen. We also hung out with the left wingers, the radical left. I met um, Minutemen. I met Black Panthers. The right and the left used to recognize that they were working for the same goals. They just had different methods and different ideas about how to reach the goals. Newton's frog vomit cures. Oh, God. Yeah, well, yeah, never mind. Newton was an alchemist. That's all you need to know. But he did figure out how to identify forged currency when he was in charge of the mint in England. Forged coins and forged currencies. He figured out ways to identify them. Yeah, I've delved into Newton, and I forget my source's name, but because I'm kind of on the exegesis of Philip K. Dick right now, and it kind of takes all the space I have in my tiny brain, and my brain hurts from it too. But yeah, Newton basically described what he saw. His laws of motion are descriptions of what happens. They aren't exactly groundbreaking, and um, I think it was Galileo had already established that if you drop a big iron ball and a little iron ball, they land at the same time. And Pasteur, yeah, well, Pasteur did figure out that he could scratch his arm with a needle that was infected with cowpox, and it would give you immunity to smallpox. Well, people already knew that milkmaids had the greatest complexions because they were immune to smallpox. Pasteur simply made it acceptable in academia, in the scientific world of his time. Wind resistance. Yeah, well, Tim, that wasn't detectable in Galileo's time for a couple of iron balls. And besides, I think he actually rolled them down a wooden ramp. He didn't drop them from 30,000 feet. See, we've refined the old theories, and many of the old theories, and even the new ones, are not so much explanations of phenomena as simply descriptions. A pox on both your houses. That's a famous quote from somewhere, and I don't, probably Shakespeare, but I don't know. James Baldwin debate with William F. Buckley at Cambridge. Well, segregation was actually put in place by the Democrats. I don't remember Goldwater defending it, but whatever. I mean, we kind of had a choice between Cinderella's sisters, just as we do this year, and we had 4 years ago. Each one is uglier than the other. Yeah, oh, the apple falling on Newton's head. Anyway, scientists, many, not all, but many scientists today seem to think that if they can come up for, hmm, come up with an explanation for a paranormal phenomenon, a scientific explanation, that they think that means they've debunked it. But what they've actually done is proven that it really does happen. We might misunderstand the source or cause of a ghostly phenomenon, but when you find a scientific explanation for it, you've just proved that it is real. Oh, Brigham Young. Well, I have no love for Brigham Young. My ancestors escaped from Utah because they knew that Brigham Young had Joseph Smith killed so he could take over the Mormon religion. They were still Mormons, but I'm not sure whether it was my grandfather or it must have been my great grandfather. When he was 9 years old, the bishop was baptizing all the children, and this ancestor of mine said, "Get your goddamn hands off me. You are not tossing me in that stinky, muddy river." They called it the Jordan River in Utah. It was a mud hole and it stunk. So he was kind of persona non grata after that, but he did escape to Idaho, remained a Mormon. Uh, you really never can not, you can't leave Mormonism. I know they want to be called Latter day Saints, but that's too much of a mouthful. In fact, I'm in the book of life because my ancestors were Mormons. What they do is have someone get baptized in your name. So I've been baptized by proxy as a Mormon, but I'm a Baptist. And someday I might go to church again. It isn't because of the virus, I just haven't gone. I've no explanation and no excuse. Oh, Albert Pike. Huh, and Freemasonry. Well, Mom's father was York Rite Masons and he was a Knight Templar. Dad's stepfather was Scottish Rite Masons and he was the infamous 33rd degree. They must have joined the wrong Masons because we are neither wealthy nor powerful. And Mom told me some of the Masonic secrets, but I don't when I was a kid, but I don't remember them. I just remember her telling me, like, in Rainbow Girls, the colors stand for things like faith, hope, and charity. And I remember she made a big deal about finding the constellation Orion and then following the belt to the Pleiades and then follow it the other way to Sirius. I should read Albert Pike. It's on my list. Oh, Philip, I think they started with dead people, but if they find you in a genealogy, they will baptize you by proxy to make sure that you're in the book of life. Women get magic underwear too, and you're never supposed to take them off. They have trap doors, Mom called them, for body functions. Um, I think they're a little more relaxed about that nowadays. But I wouldn't rag on the individual members. They're good people. Even CIA agents are mostly good people. It's just that the big high muckety mucks, you know, Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Vials of olive oil. I guess in case you need a holy unction, they carry vials of olive oil. Whatever, they're good people. Like the one year when these two teenage girls who were Mormons, they dug my car out of the snow, cleared my driveway, wouldn't accept money, wouldn't accept a cup of hot cocoa, nothing. I like them better than the Scientologists who have an electrified iron fence about 20 feet high around their compound up here to protect L. Ron Hubbard's office. They expect him to return, so they keep his office ready for him. I got news for you, he ain't coming back. And do you know that L. Ron Hubbard stole most of his religion from, or borrowed it from, the Mormons? Jeez Louise. Yeah, I'm not, I even like the Holy Rollers, but I don't go to their church. It's embarrassing. You know, I think they're called Pentecostal. They speak in tongues and they stand up and scream and faint and they lay on hands and get healed. Um, like the Assembly of God, they're holy rollers. I don't go to their church, but they're good people. Yeah, terrified that the Mormons might be, not Mormons, I'm sorry, the Scientologists might be angry with him because in one of his novels he had 6 foot tall beetles worshiping the great god Elron. Oh no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't the Beatles. Somebody was worshiping Elron. I get them all confused, but the 6 foot tall Beatles who were made intelligent by the nuclear war were worshiping the great god VW, and it was a Volkswagen bug, the rusting hulk of a Volkswagen bug sitting in the desert. VW. I I really like the okay, let me think. The Messianic Church, believing Jews who believe that Jesus, Yeshua HaMashiach, is the Messiah. But at least our local one still keeps kosher and regularly has the ritual bath, which Christians do only once, or at least Baptists do it only once. If you want to convert to Catholicism, you have to get baptized again. Many churches require another baptism because you're changing faith. The people's car. You know why the VW was the people's car? Because Hitler forbade his officers to ride in a VW bug because it was dangerous and he didn't want them killed. That was just for the masses. A cheap, they're better now, but at the time they were death traps. Well, I've heard rumors that what's his name's wife is being held up here, but I can't confirm it. There have been a couple nuts thinking they could break in and rescue her. Good luck with that. It's a 20-foot wall, 20-foot concrete wall with 20-foot tall wrought iron gates that are electrified, and the top of the wall is electrified. And if you should manage to get in, you would be met by armed guards and possibly dogs. Um, no thanks, not going there. Let them do their thing. Oh, another great thing about this community, Mormons are required to keep enough food stored so that they can survive a long-term disaster and help their neighbors survive. But in this isn't quite enough of a disaster for that, but all kinds of smaller groups and churches and um, government sponsored agencies are getting together and giving away food. I went to one yesterday just to check it out, and I thought, well, I'm out of bread and I don't have a ride to the grocery store, so maybe they'll give me a loaf of bread. They gave me a loaf of bread, a box full of oranges and apples and onions and potatoes and carrots and celery, which I had to share with others because it was way too much for me, and some cereal. It wasn't in the box. I think it was Captain Crunch with the little berry flavored things. I don't keep up on cereals, but I think that's what it was. And a bag of pancake mix where you just add water, and a big thing of top ramen, and a loaf of bread. And they said, "Do you want white wheat or oat?" And I'm like, wow. And they offered me eggs, but I couldn't take them because I already have eggs and there's no way I would use them all before they went bad. And they had people lined up in cars to pick up the food giveaway. And they were asking, well, how many in your family? So they could give them more if they had more people in their family. And this is just one of many food giveaways. Now, Monday, the local food bank supplies the government cheese, we call it. It's the USDA. They give surplus food to food banks. It used to be mostly Velveeta without the brand name on the box, and butter. That used to be pretty much the only food they gave away, but now they have things like surplus meats. One time I got a pork roast, the loin roast that's skinny and long, looks like a 12-inch Subway roll of bread, but it's pork. Uh, One time I got something, I don't know what it was. It looked like scraps of ham all stuck together and frozen. They don't have very good labels on things. It just said pork on the label. Um, Another time I got a great big thing of sliced turkey sandwich meat. And yes, I have to share them. There's no way I can eat them all, and my freezer is tiny. So I'm good for food. I have to go out and get things like toilet paper and cat food and milk and, you know, little things here and there. And because of COVID, see, I got a huge amount of food stamps. I had been canceled because I missed the deadline to turn in paperwork. And since I was getting only $16 a month, I just didn't bother with it. But I was, when I was talking on the phone about my Medi-Cal, which is Medicaid, the worker said, "Do you want food stamps?" And I said, "Oh, sure, okay." Because they gave me $147 in food stamps. Oh my, the potato farmers. Yes. Well, I got so many potatoes that I was able to share with two neighbors. I know what they're doing with their potatoes. I'm trying to grow potatoes. They used to grow for me, but something has changed up here, or the potatoes have changed. They aren't sprouting. Well, I'll wait till winter because they're basically a winter crop. They'll probably sprout then. Vodka? Oh, yeah. Vodka is usually made from potatoes. I've heard that it's sometimes made from other things, but the real vodka is supposed to be made from potatoes. Hi, Tim Greenglass. Strontium is here. I haven't been watching the chat closely enough. And this was supposed to be just a brief pop in and pop out, and we're close to an hour. Oh well. And a local shop. Uh, I call it a second-hand store, but it's high end. It's collectibles and some antiques. Had one of their customers brought in a brand new in the box ceiling fan and said, "Please find someone to give this to." So they gave it to me. So, I'm looking at the old ceiling fan and looking at the brand new one because the old one was dead. Totally dead, Jim. Yeah, I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer. And I'm going, I kind of know about electricity, but that ceiling is 12 feet high and I don't do ladders too well. I can always, go to the switch box and turn off the power, but how am I going to carry a ceiling fan up the ladder? Oh, one of my neighbors is an electrician, and he said, "I'll install it for you." And he did. Wouldn't take a penny. And this ceiling fan has a light in it. So when I choose to turn on that light, I no longer live in a dark cave with a bright spot of light from the table lamp. Well, summer heat up here is like 80 degrees. Down the hill, it's like 100. So I don't complain too much about the heat. But in the winter, it does help to spread the heat from my wall heater. This house is way too tiny to even think about central air or central heating. They call it HVAC now. HVAC. I think that's what they call it. Whatever. Oh, yeah, heat. I don't know what the V is, but AC is obvious. Air conditioning. Oh, Lovecraft. I found Lovecraft's The Temple on YouTube and listened to it. Somehow, listening, I don't do audiobooks, but listening to The Temple was much better than reading it. Better atmosphere, I guess. Oh, could be. Heat, ventilation, air conditioning. That sounds good. Uh, well, anyway, the whole house is basically 20 feet by 20 feet with a little mud porch. I think they measured it at 438 square feet because back in 97, someone decided he wanted a kitchen. This was originally a logger's cabin. It didn't have a kitchen. So they got permits, which they probably paid for with a bottle of Jack Daniels, and uh, they scrunched down the bedroom and made a kitchen that's about 8 feet wide and 10 feet long. Well, I think it's more like 8 by 6, and a little mud porch so you can get the mud off or take your shoes off before you step into the actual house. But it doesn't work because you can't shut the door while you're in the mud porch. It's that tiny. Whoops. So you kind of just scrape your feet on the floor to get most of the mud off. Anyway, that is one reason why everything rotted and fell apart and got moldy. They didn't do it right. For most of the kitchen floor, they just had these 4 by 4 pieces of lumber just sitting on the dirt with a piece of plywood on top. That is not subflooring. Sorry, it isn't. Under the counters, because they're up against the outside wall, they kind of had some subflooring, sort of, on the foundation, which is just some concrete that they poured into the dirt. If I don't know that much, but if I were inspecting it, I would not approve it. Anyway, um, so the subflooring mostly rotted away. Parts of it could be braced, and other parts had to be replaced. Yeah, mold is nasty, and in the kitchen especially, you're trying to cook food and you smell mold. Ugh. Anyway, it's all good now. And then a neighbor on the other side just does handyman stuff. He's doing major work on his own house, which is apparently in worse shape than mine. But my both my outside faucets for garden hoses were leaking like crazy. He replaced them for me. Hi, Moonlight. Awesome. What's that heat? Oh, my computer's getting hot. I have to go and get the little thing of blue ice to set my computer on because it isn't cooling enough. It'll just take a minute. This is how I cool off the computer when it's running too hot. Pop it underneath. And there we Now the computer's a little crooked, but that's okay. See, I ran it all night. I run this hypnosis tape all night long to stop smoking. It makes me fall asleep, but it doesn't work, obviously. Actually, the cat food is more expensive than the cigarettes. And I don't like chain smoke all day long, just in the morning. Oh, you think the computer got hot because I touched it, huh? I don't think so. Although, here, let's prop up the other side. There, now the computer's straight. When I was younger and television sets had rabbit ears, I was used as an antenna. The reception would get better or worse depending upon where I sat in the room with the television. And of course, the more uncomfortable I was, the better the TV looked. Yeah, well, ice in a towel would also work, but I have this blue ice thing that's really for my backaches. It works too. Don't smoke cat food, huh? Hang on, my water's empty. Well, my living room is a bigger mess than usual because I had to put all the kitchen stuff in here. I still don't have the storage cabinets worked out. They want like hundreds of dollars for cabinets, little 3 foot high cabinets, maybe 2 feet wide. I'm going, and they're made out of that compressed fiberboard crap. I'm going, I don't think so. So I'm going to go to our local shops and see if I can get something better. You know, I guess you might call it used, but the high end used stuff. Some kind of um, hutch or cabinet that I can just slide in. And since it's a piece of furniture itself, if I ever have to take it out, it's still a useful cabinet for somewhere else in the house or for selling to someone else. Salmon oil hookah. Yuck. I had a hookah once, never felt the need to use it. Oh, yeah. They want like $200 for a cabinet that's 2 feet wide and 3 feet high. I'm like, no. I did buy the sink cabinet because I could be certain that it would fit the sink that I bought. But the storage cabinets, I'll work that out a lot cheaper. And I ended up having to buy a countertop. It just wasn't going to work without one. 6 foot long, cheapest countertop I could find, $100. And it wasn't even delivered. Someone had to go get it. And the space it went into wasn't quite 6 feet long, so a man with a power saw had to cut off a few inches on one end. So I had to buy because of the way we did it, he cut off the end that was finished, that had the pretty stuff on the end, laminate. It was the only way to make sure that it actually fit the space and we didn't cut off too much. So I had to buy a strip of laminate to glue onto the end. Yeah. And it's just a chunk of compressed fiberboard with a plastic laminate to make it look pretty. Yes, my birthday's on summer solstice today. It usually is, although some people claim the solstice is really tomorrow. Thing is, next year my birthday will be on Father's Day. Oh, wow. Moonlight, happy birthday to your sister. And you have a wonderful day. Okay, let's see. I suppose it's easier to smoke a cigarette if you light it. I tend to fiddle around with them for a while and not actually light them. Okay, I've been on for an hour. That's much longer than I intended to stay. Yeah, I'll be 66 at about 7:30 tonight, Pacific time. And we're on that stupid daylight time. So we're the same time as Arizona because they don't go on daylight time. Um, One day a year you're old. Everyone is. You might be 6 years old or 70 years old, but one day a year you're old. Oh, Litha. Um, well, back in the Dark Ages, in England they called it St. John's Day. Um, Twice a year, and this was one of those times, they would build two bonfires with a space between them, and they'd drive the cattle between the two bonfires. So all their ticks and fleas would fall off and jump into the fire because they're attracted to the heat and the light. It was a way of keeping their cattle healthy. Traded cigarettes for toothpicks. Well, since I rarely wear my dentures, toothpicks wouldn't help me. Various candies help, but I can't live on candies. They fill me up, and then I don't eat real food. Oh, my goal right now is to just cut down on smoking because they're too expensive with all the new taxes. When I started smoking, it was 25 cents for a pack, but if you bought a whole carton, it was 20 cents a pack, $2. And then not long ago, well, 20 years ago, but all of a sudden that doesn't seem that long, they were $2 a pack and $20 for a carton. And that with inflation and all, that didn't seem so bad. But now they're like $10 a pack, 100 for a carton. So I'm really not smoking as much. I kind of stoke the furnace in the morning and then spend the day doing other things so I don't think about smoking. Here in New York, the prices are even worse. No, you chew on toothpicks. In fact, they make cinnamon flavored toothpicks for that very purpose to help you stop smoking. You chew on them. You don't pick your teeth if you're just trying to quit smoking. Anyway, It used to be common to see men with a toothpick hanging out of the corner of the mouth because even though we didn't have quite as many restrictions, it was not polite to smoke in certain social situations. Hmm. Ah, well, it could be worse. I'm not on drugs or alcohol, and I'm not breaking into people's homes to steal stuff to get cigarettes. If I'm out of money and out of cigarettes, so well, I'll make do with what I do have. And I'm growing parsley to chew on, by the way. And sometimes just a mint, or I found these. And I have a pack. They're Smarties, those little um, candies that are like baby sweet tarts. But I couldn't find them, and our local Ace Hardware has giant ones. They're the size of sweet tarts. They're supposed to be little things. They help. Let's see, I still have tea, coffee, and water. Good. So I'm kind of wandering and not really, I don't really have a topic. Ah, you use toothpicks. Yeah, never could floss my teeth. They were so close together that if I managed to get the floss in, it always hit my gums and then I'd be bleeding. So I always used toothpicks when I had my original teeth. You know, parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme is a spell for making a potion. And I don't know what it's supposed to do. So I do know that I'm not thrilled with thyme or sage, and I wouldn't put parsley and rosemary together. I have rosemary taking over the universe. I bought a little 6-inch pot with a little sprig of rosemary and planted it in the garden between the rose bushes, and it's huge. I think this is its third season. It's humongous. It isn't as tall as the rose bushes, but it is as big around as my ancient rose bushes, which are also huge. Yeah, I'm familiar with the song from Simon and Garfunkel, Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme, but I've heard other recordings of other singers. It's an easy song to sing. You don't have to be a great musician, or a great vocalist. It's That's what I like about hymns and Christmas carols. Most of them are really easy to sing. Some are not. Like, oh, come on, my brain just went away. Well, Angels We Have Heard on High is kind of difficult. It has some high notes, but oh, Holy Night. Mm, it is rather difficult. And when I was in a Baptist church school for sixth grade, only for sixth grade, our school choir sang at the Christmas show in the church, and Christine Doney got the solo for Oh Holy Night. She wasn't very good, but her father was a deacon, so she got the solo instead of the girl who really could sing. And here we're in the choir and we have to carry her. But we did it. We acted, sixth graders were like 11, 12 years old, mostly 11. We acted like professionals, but we were all ticked off. Christine Doney was horrible. And we knew the other girl, whose name I've forgotten, would have done a much better job. I'm an alto, so I didn't even think about doing the solo because you kind of have to be a soprano. Bridge Over Troubled Water, I love that song. But my favorite is and always will be The Sound of Silence, especially where then the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made. That song is really about Sound of Silence, that is about the dark side of city life. Scarborough Fair sounds traditional, but I have a feeling it is modern. Martin McCarthy. Huh. It is a good song. I would look it up, but I'm afraid I'll lose the internet connection here if I go to another page, another tab. I'll look it up later. Maybe it's a modernization of a traditional ballad. Oh, the Boxer, yeah. Back when I was a teenager with a guitar, I was trying to learn to play the guitar part of the Boxer. I love music. Apparently, I have more desire than talent, but I can. If I have a used guitar, but I have to put strings on it, and I lost the strings. I have to find them. Anyway, I can still manage Feeling Groovy. We used to do it as a round. One group would sing um, oh crud, I can't remember, but just two words, and then a second group would sing a little longer version of those two words, and then the third group would sing Feeling Groovy. Slow down, you're moving too fast. Oh, are you buffering? I'm not. Got to make the morning last. Trying to type and talk at the same time. Uh, anyway, that was back when I was in a high school with very talented people. And we had to be, I played the cello because the violin was too difficult for me. With the cello, if I hit a wrong note, I knew it, but the audience didn't. If I was just a little off on the fingering. With the violin, everybody knew it. So anyway, we had to play the graduation march at our own graduation. The school was that small. And there were like, I think 8 of us in the orchestra. I would have stuck with the cello, but it's so hard to carry it around. It's big and heavy. And my best friend Shari chose the double bass, which is even bigger and heavier. So we would practice during our lunch hour in the music room because I took my cello home once. She never even tried to take the double bass home. Phil listened to everything except country western. He wouldn't even let me play my Three Dog Night album. But it's odd because he liked the Grateful Dead and they were a country music band. Go figure. No, I'm not going to play a stand up bass. I'd probably fall over from the weight of it. I'd love to get a cello again. But those darn things are expensive. I had a little school violin that I picked up at the pawn shop, but it was a new one, not a pawned violin, but it was cheap. My granddaughter used it when she joined the school orchestra, and it eventually disappeared because her mother probably pawned it and probably got $10. I shouldn't speak ill of the dead, but I used to call her my bimbo in law. She died at age 34. She wouldn't take her meds for high blood pressure, but she would do speed. Well, of course she died. She had a stroke. Boom, gone. And she was smart. She had so much potential. For a couple of years there, she was sober and clean and going to the junior college, and then she started drinking again, and then she started doing speed to stay awake while she was drunk. Yeah, well, yeah, Three Dog Night, I thought they were rock and roll, but Phil wouldn't have that. I had to wait till he was out somewhere to play my Three Dog Night album. And I liked Neil Diamond and Andy Williams. Most of the music Phil liked was women. Rita, oh, Rita something. I can picture the album cover. I can't remember her last name. Linda Ronstadt. Oh, and of course Stevie Nicks. All right, what's that band's name? Rumors and oh, I can't remember the name of the band Stevie Nicks joined. Oh, Jeremiah was a bullfrog. Rita Coolidge. Thank you, Philip. Now who's what band was Stevie Nicks in? Ah, my brain ain't working. It's morning. Anyway, Andy Williams was absolutely forbidden. Fleetwood Mac. Thank you, Philip. Yes. Ah. Wow. I love the Rumors album. But people started naming their daughters Rhiannon because of Stevie Nicks' song, not realizing that Rhiannon was the Irish goddess who ate her own children. Whoops. It is a pretty name. Anyway, I've been going an hour and a half, and I was going to make this a brief appearance just to let you know I didn't die or fall off the edge of the earth. Yes, Philip, don't stop thinking about tomorrow. But Phil would listen to Jimi Hendrix, and then he'd play some Mozart. He loved Eine kleine Nacht music, a little night music. And there's a funny story with that. Phil had the record album sitting out in the living room, and mom visited and she pulled me aside and said, "Why do you let him display a picture of a bra?" Because that's what she thought the album cover was showing. But what it really was a black lace night mask for sleeping to cover your eyes. Mom had a dirty mind. Oh, Mom used to say when she was in college, they were learning about various skin conditions to do nursing. And I forget which skin condition it was. Oh, it was Shigella. And one woman in the room said, "Oh my God, I named my daughter that." It does sound cool, Shigella. It's a skin disease. Whoops. I hope the girl got a nickname. Oh, you're glad I went longer, huh? Oh, I haven't had breakfast. I've got potato chips, but I don't think I ought to be chewing on them while I'm on YouTube. Ah, anyway, oh, I really appreciate you guys hopping in. I will try to find a time on Tuesday so I can come on regularly and you don't have to guess when I'm going to pop on. That doesn't mean I won't pop on from time to time. Rosh, your German side surname, it's Rosh. Germans don't say ah, they say ah, Rosh. I used to know what that word meant, but I've lost most of my German vocabulary. I can cuss pretty well. Most of what I know of foreign languages is either food or cuss words. They kind of stick longer than the normal conversations. I'm going to get one of my Hispanic neighbors to teach me better Spanish. I mean, when I took Spanish in junior high, it was things like, "Hola Isabel, ¿cómo estás?" And "Caramba, se me olvidó mi cuaderno." I lost my notebook. Or "Where's the library?" And the one I can't quite remember in Spanish was "My cousin choked on the grapes." Because on New Year's Eve, they have this tradition of swallowing grapes really fast at midnight. Spengler could be German, could be something from the Baltic states or maybe Eastern Europe, could be Polish. Who knows? It probably means something. The ER on the end usually indicates that you're talking about a person's profession. Um, Spangler means metal worker. Thank you, Oswald. So, like a blacksmith. Yeah, ¿dónde está la biblioteca? Where's the library? It is German. Cool. Yeah. Well, I'm remembering the book, just the stuff from the book we had. I found Spanish easy enough, but when I was started studying German in college, I felt like I was just I had to moderate a chat. I allowed it. I don't see why Tim was tagged for you saying profanities, or maybe get myself killed. I don't know. Um, and where was I? I lost my train of thoughts. Thought. Oh, German. It was as if I were speaking English with a funny accent. It was so easy. Grapes aren't pills. Yeah, well, I think they're supposed to chew them and swallow them, but really fast so that they swallow 12 grapes before the clock bongs 12 times. That's what I've been told. Anyway, you know, why not? There's all kind. I guess it's better than the tradition of getting drunk on New Year's Eve. Uh, Ring in the new year with a hangover. I'm hearing weird sound outside. It's probably the neighbors working on their house. Anyway, it's been an hour and a half, and I do need to get back to work on my kitchen so that this evening I can get back to work on the X in exegesis. Oh, yeah, like hot dogs. Oh, I don't, I think you have to be nuts to compete in an eating contest, but oh well. Not too long ago, some guy won the eating contest, ate the most hot dogs, but then he died. He dropped dead. They say he choked on the last one. Book progress is slow but steady. I have, I don't know how many pages, but I think I'm about a third of the way to what the finished book will be. I keep finding new things to look up and find sources for. I'm going to have footnotes. Uh, I'm trying to make it readable but still academic. I mean, I've got a master's degree. I might as well use it. But I've been told I really should use Chicago style footnotes. And I cut my teeth on AP and MLA. AP for journalism and MLA for English uh, term papers. And frankly, the guy has a point. Chicago style is better. But I have to relearn it. I've only used it once or twice in the past. But it gives you more and better information about how to find the source that I'm quoting. So I'll brush up on it after the book is done. But for now, everything's in parentheses in the text, which makes it easier to cut and paste things when I think they should be moved to a different chapter. Well, in MLA, it really does tell you where to go, but you have to look at the last page to find out what, for example, Milton 68 means. Milton, the author's last name, 68, the page number. So you go to the back, last page, to find out which thing by Milton you're quoting. And if you have two or more things by Milton, you number them in the bibliography. MLA, Modern Language Association. They made us buy the MLA style book when I was a student. It was required. AP, of course, is Associated Press. And apparently there's something called APA. Maybe I have it confused and that's what AP is. I don't know. But that's going to be the fiddly little housekeeping task to do when I got the book solidly finished and copy edited and all that. When I was in third grade, we moved across town halfway through the school year. So I missed my old school. You know, I had to change schools. So I signed up for summer school at Farragut, which was my original elementary school. Instead of English, they were teaching language arts. The math course wasn't too bad, but I couldn't stand the English courses, the language arts. So after the first couple days, I quit. I didn't miss the school that much. It was horrible. I already knew nouns, adjectives, verbs, and so forth, and we were suddenly told to call them naming words and action words. And I'm like, I already know this stuff. I don't need to learn new names for them. Interesting, Philip. MLA, Modern Language Association, has been around for quite a while. But if you are studying science, you won't use MLA. It's only for English and the humanities. My eye itches. Itchy. Anyway, I don't recall using it at the junior college, and I think that's because the only papers I did were in biology class. And we just put all the info in parentheses in the text. Um, the first time you quote it, you put the author's whole name, the title, and so forth. And then the next time you quote it, you say something like ibid, or, you know, I don't remember all of those little abbreviations because I don't use them anymore. But Cockney rhyming slang. Hey, Yeah, no, thank you. I They make it up in the first place, so I just find it um, incomprehensible. I'm still struggling to learn text. I get LOL and raffle, but sometimes it's like, okay, IDK, oh, I don't know, or SMH, shaking my head. Yeah, I'm learning, but there are still many I have to go to Google and find out what they mean. These abbreviations in text messaging, but I have a reason to learn those. I don't have a reason to learn Cockney rhyming slang. Okay, it's been an hour and 40. I'm going to have to sign off and get some real food. Maybe I'll eat that Captain Crunch from the food giveaway. Milk is real food, right? All right. Let's see. Thank you all for listening. And happy kitchening, huh? A thousand ways to die. Strontium, I'm leaving. Oh, BRE means be right back. Yeah, you're just telling me that. Okay. Thought you were going to BRB. Yeah, well, I'll just paint the one corner behind that will be behind the stove because there's no way to paint that after the stove is there. Bathroom break? Yeah, well, that makes sense, Philip. Bathroom break works too. Or as I say, I'm going to recycle some coffee. Okay, I gotta run. I'm getting really hungry. Catch you guys. I'll try to make it Tuesday. I just don't have a specific time quite yet. Catch you later.